An Old Republic game has finally been announced, but it's not what any of us were expecting.
Mandalore!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And so, as I'm sure many of you are aware, the Game Awards just happened last night, and during it we got not just one, but two trailers for Star Wars games. Now, the big game reveal I'm going to talk about in this video was not the remaster of KOTOR like we were all expecting and hoping for, but instead we got a new game that will be taking place during the Old Republic era called Fate of the Old Republic. And I believe that this will not only canonize KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2, but also flesh out and continue the story of the Old Republic era. You know, even though this isn't a direct sequel to the Knights of the Old Republic games, this almost feels like a KOTOR 3. Now, along with the new trailer, Lucasfilm also released an exclusive article with the director of Arknaut Studios, Casey Hudson, and he was actually the original director for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and the Mass Effect trilogy. So yeah, that's pretty exciting to have him back on board for this game. So let's take a look at what this article says. Blending innovative storytelling, memorable characters, and heart-pounding combat, Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic will immerse you in an unforgettable experience where every decision deepens your journey towards the light or the darkness. So apparently there's been some statements online saying that there will be a Jedi and a Sith story, so you can play as either one of those. Now, in the article, Hudson says, when we developed the original KOTOR, we wanted to create a definitive Star Wars experience, crafting an adventure that consisted of all things we dreamed of doing as Star Wars fans. Now, 25 years after we started work on that game, our aspirations are equally ambitious. Fate of the Old Republic represents an opportunity to explore a contemporary vision of a definitive Star Wars experience. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put absolute faith in the studio. I believe that they have the capability of creating another game just as good as KOTOR or KOTOR 2. Narratively, story-wise, like if they even put like 75% of the content that they had in KOTOR in this game, dude, we are in for a great time. Although Fate of the Old Republic is not a direct sequel or a continuation, yeah, that's kind of disappointing, but I guess maybe they don't want to clash with the Revan book, or, you know, this gives them some fluidity to create their own new story. It is being built by people who helped shape that legacy, Riley adds. Throughout my 2 decades of working on Star Wars games, including Star Wars The Old Republic, I have been fortunate to see firsthand just how much these stories mean to our fans. For us, this new project is about honoring that legacy by creating something in the same tradition of a deep cinematic, choice-driven role-playing game. Reuniting with Casey has been a tremendous honor, and we are pouring all of our shape, passion, and experience into building the next great chapter. Hudson has remained in contact with Lucasfilm in the more than 20 years since last working with them on KOTOR, hoping to get the chance to collaborate again, but a project like this is a huge commitment for everyone involved, so it took the right conditions to get everything to line up, he notes. Now, to me, this sounds like he's had a story in mind that he's wanted to work on with Lucasfilm for some time. So yeah, that's great news for us. I mean, a lot of us have been wanting somebody who's been truly passionate about Star Wars for some time, and you know, he's got the credentials to back up what he says, so this is a win-win in my eyes. Lucasfilm Games was eager to tell a new story in an era with lots of possibilities. Star Wars' past is a vast open canvas for creators to explore without having to navigate storytelling touchstones from other media, Riley notes. Being set in the past gives us an immense amount of open space to tell new original Star Wars stories, while staying true to the spirit of the galaxy we all love. There are quite literally infinite stories to tell. While we will always honor and celebrate the core saga, it's crucial to explore new territory, meet new characters, and see new parts of the galaxy. Yeah, I think this is something that Star Wars fans have been saying for a long time. We've all been wanting to go back to the Old Republic. Everybody's been asking for some time, when is this going to happen? You know, it's been teased on the official timeline for a few years now, but we hadn't heard anything except for the remake for KOTOR. Not to mention, this seems to be an issue that Disney and Lucasfilm has been running into as of late. You know, most of the stories we have actually been getting have taken place after the fall of the Republic, during the Empire era, and after the Empire era, after Palpatine is killed. You know, there really hasn't been a plan for post-sequel trilogy until the last year or two, and even then a lot of these movies and films have been canceled. You know, Starfighter is the only time that any story has come into fruition, and even then none of us know what's going to happen with that. Now, one of the biggest questions in regards to SWTOR is, when does this game take place? And we actually get the answer at the very beginning of this article. You know, it's kind of vague though at the same time, but it actually says, in Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, step into the role of a Force user on a journey through a galaxy on the edge of rebirth at the end of the Old Republic. And holy smokes, guys, it sounds like this is going to take place right at the end of the Old Republic into its transition into the Republic that we begin to see in the High Republic. Now, more specifically, a lot of people are hoping and believe that this game will actually take place right at the very end of the Old Republic, which would actually lead us into the 1,000-year peace, aka when the Sith have all been defeated. And if you're a fan of the Old Republic, you know that this is the time period that Bane was active. So yeah, the story might revolve around Darth Bane and his creation of the Rule of Two, which would go on to exist for the next 1,000 years and eventually lead up to the Sith's success with Palpatine. Now, there's something else that I haven't seen anybody mention yet, but it is a very prominent event that happens around this time as well. And like any good Old Republic story, it revolves around Mandalorians. I feel like you cannot have the Old Republic without Jedi, Sith, or Mandalorians in it. And the prominent event I'm talking about is that Tar Vizsla, the creator of the Darksaber, is alive around this period as well. But he then dies right before the fall of the Old Republic, which leads to Clan Vizsla sacking the Jedi Temple, which then leads us to the Jedi Mandalorian War. Holy smokes, guys. And I would say this is actually the moment that the Jedi actually begin to stray from the Jedi path, because the war ends in Jedi victory, with Mandalore's surface made uninhabitable. That's why they live in those dome cities that we see in The Mandalorian and Grogu, and in Star Wars Rebels, and in the Clone Wars. And I forgot to mention that during the sacking of the Jedi Temple by Clan Vizsla actually steals the Darksaber and then has it for the next 1,000 years, giving it to their own personal Mandalores. Yeah, the lore in this game could be way crazier than anything that we all could imagine. Yeah, guys, if you can't tell, I'm incredibly excited for this game. I know a lot of fans in general are. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for this game. Let me know what you thought of the trailer. Let me know what story narratives you're looking forward to that could be in this game. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give me a like. If you love Star Wars news and Star Wars in general, give me a follow, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. You know, I hope you guys all have a great day, and may the Force be with you.